I've learned that YouTubers can't handle criticism whatsoever. You know, it's funny being a YouTuber and covering topics and what ends up being acceptable out in the community and what becomes heresy, and you're an awful person for even mentioning things. And when you're starting out in YouTube, you don't know which end is up, especially if you're like me and you didn't really follow any channels, you didn't have any stakes in the ground, you didn't have a bias coming into it on who's okay and who's not. No, it was just kind of, oh, I like video games and I'm going to make a video game channel and see where it goes from there. My first breakout video was talking about the CD system and how I thought the CD was potentially a scam based off of how it was being presented to the end users. And by all accounts, it pretty much turned out to be that way. Now, I don't want this video to turn into a, hey, look at me, I'm always right. But for the most part, I'm always right. And if I'm not, I'll make a video calling myself out. Those of you who have watched me for a while already know that. So I'd like to think I've earned the benefit of the doubt when I start saying things, the respect of the community when I say, there's something off about this person. There's something not right about this situation, this device that's being sold, this whatever it is that I'm covering in the video, that people would be at least open to hearing about it. After talking about the CD, I moved on to Pat the NES Punk and the Diablo Immortal situation and how poorly he handled that, and how I thought truly it would ruin his career because of how it exposed him for being a douche. Like, I still to this day feel that Pat the NES Punk is a douche. That is my personal feeling. I am allowed to have those feelings about people. As much as people might think they're allowed to talk and say you can't have those feelings about those because you could hurt feelings of people, I'm not telling you that you have to think he's a douche. I'm just saying, by all accounts, in my interactions with him, that's exactly what he is. And since that video, I've had a few more interactions with him and witnessed how he's handled talking about other topics, more specifically the Amico, and how he can't wait for that thing to fail because he'll get more Patreon subscribers if he's proven right again, which I covered in a video as well. And people got mad at me. People are saying, you need to lay off of Pat. He's not that bad. Pat's a good guy. You're the asshole. Okay. Maybe I'm an asshole for calling people out. I'm fine with that. But you know what? At least I can handle criticism and take it. But Pat isn't even the worst. And that's what's crazy about all this. Pat, in comparison to what I'm going to be talking about in this video, is child's play. He's harmless. I look at Pat as a fun little jabbing match between him and I. I don't take it seriously. He might. But he gets offended very easily. He's very fragile. But I don't get mad at Pat for being the way he is because, you know, people are who they are. And you got to accept what they are because you can't change people. The more I've done YouTube, the more I've realized that there are a ton of people on this platform that cannot handle criticism whatsoever, which is ironic because YouTube is a public ground for people to view you and will be critical of you. And if you cannot handle criticism, get your ass off the platform. I'm sorry if that's how it comes out, but someone's going to be real here. I'm kind of tired of all the coddling and SJW BS we've been dealing with over the past decade, it seems, where everyone's so, oh, don't say those things about this person. You're not helping the community. No, I'm calling a spade a spade. I'm not going to pretend everything is nice. I'm not going to promote positivity for the sake of just promoting positivity because that allows evildoers to commit horrendous crimes. And if you're not called out, if it goes unchecked, then all it does is pat them on the back and tell them what they're doing is perfectly fine and they're going to get worse and worse. I really don't understand why that concept is so hard for so many people to understand, but Maybe people just want to live in a bubble and pretend everything's perfectly fine, and the people on YouTube that are calling other people out, those are the real assholes. Okay. Again, you can believe what you want to believe. I've made plenty of enemies by just being real, and it doesn't bother me, like, at all. I know going into YouTube that this is a public place, that I'm going to be posting videos that the world can see and decide what they want based off of them. And if someone's going to be making a video about me and why they're being critical of me, by all means, please do it. I actually enjoy when someone makes a critical video about me. If I know that they don't have any ground to stand on, I chuckle to myself. But sometimes I'll hear a video out and be like, okay, I'm going to take that in and learn from it. The response video, the art of the response video has been lost. Like, it's non-existent this day and age. People are so afraid of what people are going to think of them if they actually make a video speaking their mind, what their true feelings are. And that's truly unfortunate, because in a way, society itself has been silencing criticism. And that should never, ever, ever happen. Moving on, some other videos I've made that didn't really perform as well as some others I've made, but I still made them because I was calling out a situation that I didn't see was right. And I wanted the platform to know about it. When Destiny FOMO falsely copyright striked Jason from Overthink Gaming, I made a video calling her out. This is back way before a lot of people even knew who she was, before she started paying for all the ads to get her name out there, which, by the way, more power to her, but I'll get back to that in a second. But Destiny FOMO falsely copyright striked a channel because she didn't like a thumbnail with a picture of her in it. Does that sound familiar? Because that's what John Hancock did to me. These videos were critical of these YouTubers. I don't feel like they got to the point of harassment, especially my video. But by all accounts, Jason's video did not get to the point of harassment either. It was strictly critiquing a situation and giving him thoughts on the moment and what he thought about everything. And to this day, I think he did a fantastic job calling a spade a spade. But holy crap, I made a video defending Jason because of a false copyright strike. And people came after me. People said that he was sexist. People said some really horrible things about him, forgetting the whole point of his video was just to be critical of her situation. And false copyright strikes are nothing to joke about. So if anything, I'd like to hammer home that point in this video that as a community, if you're a YouTuber, you need to do better. You need to be held accountable for your actions. Unfortunately, in the Destiny FOMO situation, she paid for a lot of ads to get her name out there after this Jason situation, and a lot of her subscribers have no idea the horrendous act that she took against him back then. John Hancock has been copyright striking channels. Myself and D-Dave are confirmed, but there are other rumors of more channels that he has copyright striked in the past that were much smaller. And maybe they went to the point of harassment. I don't know. I didn't do the research on them. But again, if you're a tiny channel making a video harassing a larger channel that's infinitely bigger, and your videos are getting 100 to 200 to 300 views max, I don't understand why so many of these big YouTubers have such thin skin. It's so easy to get under their skin and just get to them. It's so easy. It's simple. They're fragile. And ironically, the three channels I've talked about in this video that are hyper fragile. Pat the NES Punk got big because he was friends with Cinemassacre's James Rolfe and the Angry Video Game Nerd, did collabs with him, got buddy-buddy with a lot of larger channels, and grew really big, well, relative, by association. Destiny FOMO pays for ads. Grew really big by paying for advertisements and getting her name out there. John Hancock grew really big because he knows Metal Jesus Rocks and is on his channel. You can debate all you want, but those are the facts. Like, that is the reality of the situation. And the truth is, if you don't grow on YouTube naturally, if you have to skip steps like these channels did, you're going to miss some very important stages along the way that teach you how to develop a thicker skin, that teach you how to handle the criticism, that teach you not to let people get to you with such innocuous comments and videos and minor things that are meaningless in the grand scheme. It's wild to me. It's so obvious, yet everyone acts like it doesn't make sense. They don't get it. It's like a surprise. That's the reality. That's what it is. And it's unfortunate too, because when money comes into play, it changes people. They focus so much on their little platform that they've created for themselves, their little niche that they've carved on YouTube, that everything else falls by the wayside. They protect that like it's a newborn baby in the world that can't get any kind of damage or anything. They put it in a bubble, and anyone that tries to touch that bubble, they snap at because of the money. I would have liked to see Metal Jesus Rocks call out John Hancock and say what he did is unacceptable when representing the Metal Jesus Rocks crew. Because plain and simple, what he did is completely unacceptable. But Jason didn't do that. Because Jason is extremely careful with his brand. He doesn't want to be in the middle of drama because that could affect his paychecks. And when your whole life is built around a platform that pays your rent, pays your mortgage, you start making decisions based off of money instead of making decisions based off of what's right. And those are two very different things. And no, this isn't a video just to throw people under the bus for the sake of throwing them under the bus. It's a video to discuss the reality of what YouTube has become. And it sucks. And I know it too, because back before I got my job, all I cared about was my brand and trying to make a business out of it. And I felt like doing that, I lost who I was. I had to give myself up in order to benefit financially. And deep down, I'd like to think the community doesn't want that. They want people to make decisions based off of what's right and not based off of what makes sense financially. Now, this might sound ironic, but I do believe YouTube can be a job. It can be a career. It can be a place where you can sustain you and your family and mortgage and everything. Yeah, if you do it right, it can be. But the problem is, it's become the goal of YouTube. And everyone who's on it is trying so hard to hold on to that. Everyone who's made it, because it's so competitive. And oftentimes, I feel like people lose their humanity over it. They lose themselves. If you ever false flag a channel, false copyright strike a channel, without the proper legal backup for it, but you're doing it for the reason solely of silencing criticism, then yeah, get the hell off the platform. Because YouTube could do a lot better without people like you. Now, I had a situation the other day where someone came at me on Twitter. Someone who I followed, someone who I was subscribed to, and it caught me completely off guard. Bob from Retro RGB. I don't know how you think you could make the tweet that you did and not get called out by me. But clearly, you have an issue with me because I made a video that you disagreed with somewhere along the way. I don't know what it could possibly be, but there's definitely some deep buried feelings you have of hatred for me. Making a tweet, calling in my job, calling in my family, talking about how it would be unfortunate if someone were to contact them. Dude, the fuck is wrong with you, man? And then to try to take the high road after that and say, oh, it was misinterpreted. What I said, I've read that tweet many times. I could twist myself into a pretzel and still not feel like what you did in that tweet was anywhere close to being justified. That's one of those things that when you call someone's family or job or personal life at all into question, when talking about a YouTuber who doesn't expose those things to you in the first place, it's just, that's the most slimeball thing I could ever imagine. And I went to Bob's page and I saw some comments were trying to stand up for me, but they just bowed to the pressure instantly when Bob wrote back to him. They were like, hey Bob, I saw what you wrote to Smash and that wasn't cool, man. He's like, yeah, I got a little heated, but it didn't come out the way I meant it to. And they're like, yeah, man, it's cool. Thank you for replying. I think you're awesome. And yeah, don't worry about it. It's just a misunderstanding. No, you do something like that, you expose yourself. You're an asshole. Instantly. And while I don't encourage deplatforming YouTubers, the entire platform of YouTube would be a hell of a lot better off without people that false copyright strike channels and other people that come after their family and come after their job and attack their personal life. There's no place for that. Ever.